Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Agnanatimirandasya Gyananjana Salakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. Sri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Svayam Rupa Kadamahyam Darati Swapadantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Yutapada Kamalam Sri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Sri Rupam Sagrijatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Lalita Sri Visakan Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dina Bandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gourangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Prisabhanusute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya eva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namam Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Sarasvate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Pashatya Deshatarine Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayet Shrinvatam Svakata Krishna Punyashravana Kirtana Rityantasto Yabhadrani Vidunoti Suhrit Satam Nashtaprayesvabhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki. Before reciting the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, which is the very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances unto the personality of Godhead Narayana, unto Nara Narayana Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and unto Shri Vyasadeva, the author. Sri Krishna, the personality of Godhead, who is the Paramatma, super soul in everyone's heart, and the benefactor of the truthful devotee, cleanses desire for material enjoyment from the heart of the devotee who has developed the urge to hear his messages, which are in themselves virtuous when properly heard and chanted. By regular attendance in classes on the Bhagavatam and by rendering of service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed, and loving service unto the personality of Godhead, who is praised with transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable fact. Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam ki jai, Śrīla Prabhupada ki jai. Two, 4, 10. Vichik hmm. Vichikitshitame bravitu Bhagavan yatha Shabde Brahmani Nishnata Parasmimscha Bhavan Kalu. Vichikitsitam doubtful inquiry. Yata this me of me. Bravitu, just clear up. Bhagavan, powerful like the Lord. Yatha, as much as. Shabde, sound. Transcendental. Brahmani, Vedic literature. Nishnata, fully realized. Parasmin, in transcendence. Cha, also. Bhavan, your good self. Kalu, as a matter of fact. Translation by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Kindly clear up all these doubtful inquiries, because you are not only vastly learned in the Vedic literature and self-realized in transcendence, but you are also a great devotee of the Lord, and therefore you are as good as the personality of Godhead. Purport. In the Brahma Samhita, it is said that the Supreme Absolute Truth, Govinda, the personality of Godhead, although one without a second, is infallibly expanded by innumerable forms none different from one another. And although he is the original person, he is still ever young with permanent youthful energy. He is very difficult to be known simply by learning the transcendental science of the Vedas, but he is very easily realized by his pure devotees. The expansion of different forms of the Lord, as from Krishna to Baladeva to Sankarshana, from Sankarshana to Vasudeva, from Vasudeva to Aniruddha, from Aniruddha to Pradyumna, and then again to second Sankarshana, and from him to the Narayana Purusha avatars, and innumerable other forms, which are compared to the constant flowing of the uncountable waves of a river, are all one and the same. They are all like lamps of equal power which kindle from one lamp to another. That is the transcendental potency of the Lord. The Vedas say that He is so complete that even though the whole complete identity is emanated from Him, He still remains the same complete whole. Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnam Eva Vashishyate. As such, there is no validity in a material conception of the Lord by the mental speculators. Thus he remains always a mystery for the mundane scholar, even if he is vastly learned in the Vedic literatures. Vedeshu durlabham adurlabham atma bhakto. Therefore, the Lord is beyond the limit of conception of mundane learned scholars, philosophers, or scientists. He is easily understandable by the pure devotee, because the Lord declares in the Bhagavad Gita that after surpassing the stage of knowledge, when one is able to be engaged in the devotional service of the Lord, then only can one know the true nature of the Lord. Bhagavad Gita 1854. No one can have any clear conception of the Lord or His holy name, form, or attributes, pastimes, etc., unless one is engaged in His transcendental loving service. The statement of the Bhagavad Gita that one must first of all surrender unto the Lord, being freed from all other engagements, means that one must become a pure, unconditional devotee of the Lord. Only then can one know Him by the strength of devotional service. Maharaj Parikshit admitted in the previous verse that the Lord is inconceivable even for the greatest learned scholars. Why then should he again request Shukadev Goswami to clarify his insufficient knowledge about the Lord? The reason is clear. Shukadev Goswami was not only vastly learned in the Vedic literature, but he was also a great self-realized soul and a powerful devotee of the Lord. A powerful devotee of the Lord is by the grace of the Lord more than the Lord himself. The personality of Godhead, Sri Ramachandra, attempted to bridge the Indian Ocean to reach the island of Lanka, but Sri Hanumanji, the unallied devotee of the personality of Godhead, could cross the ocean simply by jumping over it. The Lord is so merciful upon his pure devotee that he presents his beloved devotee as more powerful than himself. The Lord expressed himself to be unable to save Durvasha Muni, although the Muni was so powerful that he could reach the Lord directly in these material conditions. But Durvasa Muni, saved by Maharaj Ambaris, a devotee of the Lord, was saved by Maharaj Ambaris, a devotee of the Lord. Therefore, a devotee of the Lord is not only more powerful than the Lord, but also worship of the devotee is considered more effective than direct worship of the Lord. Madbhakta Puja Piyadika. The conclusion is, therefore, that a serious devotee must first approach a spiritual master who is not only well versed in the Vedic literatures, but is also a great devotee with factual realization of the Lord and his different energies. Without the help of such devotee spiritual master, no one can make progress in the transcendental science of the Lord. And a bona fide spiritual master like Sukadev Goswami does not speak about the Lord only in the matter of his internal potencies, but also explains how he associates with his external potencies. The Lord's pastimes in the internal potency are displayed in his activities in Vrindavan, but his external potential works are directed in his features of Karanarana Vishnu, Karbodakasai Vishnu, and Kshirodakasai Vishnu. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti offers his good counsel to the interested Vaishnavas when he says that they should not only be interested to hear about the Lord's activities like Rasa Leela, but that they must be keenly interested in his pastimes in his feature of the Purusha avatars in connection with Srishti Tattva, creational functions, following the examples of Maharaj Parikshit, the ideal disciple, and Shukadev Goswami, the ideal spiritual master. Ripo. Hare Krishna, Prabhu, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Who wants to read the next verse?
Hare Krishna Prabhu, and come to all of you, Jai Prabhupada.
Ram Prabhu, Jai Srila Prabhupada. Sutta Uvacha Ityupamantrito Ragna Gunanukantane Hare Rishikeshamanusmritya Prativaktum Prachakrame. Sutta Uvacha, Sutta Goswami said, Iti thus, Upamantrita, being requested, Ragna, by the king, Guna Anukantane, in describing the transcendental attributes of the Lord, Hare, of the personality of the Godhead, Rishikesham, the master of the senses, Anushmritya, properly remembering, Prativaktum, just to reply, Prachakrame, executed the preliminaries. Translation. Sutta Goswami said, when Shukadev Goswami was thus requested by the king to describe the creative energy of the personality of Godhead, the former then systematically remembered the master of the senses, Sri Krishna, and to reply properly he spoke thus, purport. The devotees of the Lord, while delivering some speeches and describing the transcendental attributes of the Lord, do not think that they can do anything independently. They think that they can speak only what they are induced to speak by the Lord, Supreme Lord, the Master of the senses. The senses of the individual being are not his own, and the devotee knows that such senses belong to the Supreme Lord, and that they can properly be used when they are employed for the service of the Lord. The senses are instruments, and elements are ingredients, all endowed by the Lord. Therefore, whatever our individual whatever an individual can do, speak, see is under the direction of the Lord only. The Bhagavad Gita confirms this 15:15. Sarvasya chaham hridi sannivishto mattah smritirgyanam apohanam cha. No one is free to act freely and independently, and as such, no one should one should always seek the permission of the Lord to do or eat or speak. And by the blessings of the Lord, everything done by a devotee is beyond the principles of four defects typical of the conditioned soul. Oh, this end is nice. Text number 12. Sri Sukavacha Namah Parasmai Purushaya Bhuyase Sat Udbhavastana Nirodha Leelaya Grihita Shakti Tritayaya Dehinam Antarbhavayanupalaksha Vartmane. Namaha, offering obeisances, Parasmai, the Supreme, Purushaya, the personality of Godhead, Bhuyase, unto the complete whole, Sat Udbhava, creation of the material world, Sthana, its maintenance, Nirodha, and its winding up, Leelaya, by the pastime of Grihita, having accepted, Shakti, power, Tritayaya, three modes, Dehinam, of all who possess material bodies, Antarbhavaya, unto him who resides within, Anupalakshya, inconceivable, Vartmane, one who has such ways. Shukadev Goswami said, let me offer my respectful obeisances unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who for the creation of the material world accepts the three modes of nature. He is the complete whole residing within the body of every one, and his ways are inconceivable. Purport. This material world is a manifestation of the three modes of goodness, passion, and ignorance. And the Supreme Lord, for the creation, maintenance, and destruction of the material world accepts these predominating forms of Brahma, Vishnu, and Shankara, Shiva. As Vishnu, he enters into every body, materially created. As Karbodakasai Vishnu, he enters into every universe. And as Kshirodakasai Vishnu, he enters into the body of every living being. Lord Sri Krishna, being the origin of all Vishnu Tattvas, is addressed here as Parapuman or Purushottama, as described in the Bhagavad Gita 15:18, or the complete whole. The Purusha avatars are therefore his plenary expansions. Bhakti Yoga is the only process by which one can become competent to know him. Because the empiric philosophers and mystic yogis cannot conceive of the personality of Godhead, he is called Anupalakshavartmane, the Lord of the inconceivable way, or Bhakti Yoga. Text number 13. Bhuyo namah sadvrijinas chiddesatam asambhavaya kila sattvamurtaye pumsam punah paramahamsyasrame vyavastitanam anumrigyadashuse. Word to word. Bhuyaha again. Namaha, my obeisances. Sat, of the devotees or of the pious. Vrigina distresses, Chida the liberator, Asatam of the atheists, non-devotee demons. Asambhavaya, cessation of further unhappiness. Akila, complete. Sattva, goodness. Murtaye, unto the personality. Pumsam, of the transcendentalists. Punaha, again. Paramahamsye, highest stage of spiritual perfection. Ashrame, in the status. Vyavashtitanam, particularly situated. Anumrigya, destination. Dashuse, one who delivers. Translation. I again offer my respectful obeisances under the form of complete existence and transcendence, who is the liberator from all distresses of the pious devotees and the destroyer of the further advances in atheistic temperament of the non-devotee demons. For the transcendentalists who are situated in the topmost spiritual perfection, he grants their specific destinations. Purport. Lord Shri Krishna is the complete form of all existence, both material and spiritual. Akila means complete or that which is not kila, inferior. As stated in the Bhagavad Gita, there are two kinds of nature, prakriti, namely the material nature and the spiritual nature, or the external and internal potencies of the Lord. The material nature is called anadva, or inferior, and the spiritual nature is called superior or transcendental. Therefore, the form of the Lord is not of the inferior material nature. He is complete transcendence, and his murti, or having transcendental form. The less intelligent men who are unaware of his transcendental form describe him as an impersonal Brahman, but the Brahman is simply the rays of his transcendental body, Yasya Prabha. The devotees who are aware of his transcendental form render him service. Therefore, the Lord also reciprocates by his causeless mercy and thus delivers his devotees from all distresses. The pious men who follow the rulings of the Vedas are also dear to him, and therefore the pious men of this world are also protected by him. The impious and the non-devotees are against the principles of the Vedas, so such persons are always hampered from making advances in their nefarious activities. Some of them who are specifically favored by the Lord are killed by him personally, as in the cases of Ravana, Hiranyakashipu, Kamsa, etc. And thus such demons get salvation and are thereby checked from further progresses in their demoniac activities. Just like a kind father, either in his favor upon the devotees or his punishment of the demons, he is ever kind to everyone, because he is complete existence for all individual existence. The Paramahamsa stage of existence is the highest perfectional stage of spiritual values. According to Srimati Kunti Devi, the Lord is factually understood by the Paramahamsas only, as there is gradual realization of the transcendence from impersonal Brahman to localized Paramatma to the personality of Godhead, Purushottama, Lord Krishna. Similarly, there is gradual promotion of one situation in the spiritual life of sannyas, kutichaka, bahudaka, parivrajakacharya, and paramahamsa are gradually progressive stages in the renounced order of life. Sannyas and Queen Kunti Devi Sanyas and Queen Kunti Devi, the mother of the Pandavas, has spoken about them in her prayers for Lord Krishna, Canto 1, Chapter 8. The Paramahamsas are generally found both among the impersonalists and the devotees. But according to Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, as it is clearly stated by Kunti Devi, pure Bhakti Yoga is understood by the Paramahamsas, and she has especially mentioned that the Lord descends paritranaya sadhunam, especially to award Bhakti Yoga to the Paramahamsas. So ultimately, the Paramahamsas, in the true sense of the term, are unallied devotees of the Lord. Srila Jiva Goswami has directly accepted that the highest destination is Bhakti Yoga, by which one accepts the transcendental loving service of the Lord. Those who accept the path of Bhakti Yoga are the factual Paramahamsas. Since the Lord is very kind to everyone, the impersonalists who accept the Bhakti as the means of being merged in the existence of the Lord in his impersonal Brahmajyoti are also awarded their desired destination. Yes, he has assured everyone in the Bhagavad Gita, Ye yatamam prapadyante. According to Shra Vishwanath Chakravarti, there are two classes of Paramahamsas, namely the Brahmanandis, impersonalists, and the Premanandis, devotees, and both are awarded their desired destinations. Although the Premanandis are more fortunate than the Brahmanandis, but both the Brahmanandis and the Premanandis are transcendentalists and they have nothing to do with the inferior material nature full of the existential miseries of life. Hmm. Haribol. Okay, one straight the next verse, or should I continue? Okay, text number 14. Namo namastestvariṣāpya sattvatam vidurakaṣtāya muhuku yoginam nirasta samyati shayena radasa svadamani brahmani ramshyate nama. Namaha namaste. Let me offer my obeisances unto you as to are Rishabhaya, unto the great associate, Sattvatam, of the members of the Yadu dynasty, Vidurakasthaya, one who is far from mundane wranglers, Muhu, always, Kuyoginam, of the non-devotees, Nirasta, vanquished, Samya, equal status, Atisayana, by greatness, Radasa, by opulence, Svadamani, in his own abode, Brahmani, in the spiritual sky, Ramshyate, enjoys, Namaha, I do bow down. Translation. Let me offer my respectful obeisances unto him who is the associate of the members of the Yadu dynasty, and who is always a problem for the non-devotees. He is the supreme enjoyer of both the material and spiritual worlds, yet he enjoys his own abode in the spiritual sky. There is no one equal to him because his transcendental opulence is immeasurable. Is a problem for the non-devotee. Purport. There are two sides of the transcendental manifestations of the Supreme Lord Sri Krishna. For the pure devotees, he is the constant companion, as in the case of his becoming one of the family members of the Yadu dynasty, or his becoming the friend of Arjuna, or his becoming the associated neighbor of the inhabitants of Vrindavan as the son of Nanda, Yashoda, the friend of Sudama, Sridama, and Madhumangala, or the lover of the damsels of Rajabhumi, etc. That is part of his personal features. And by his impersonal feature, he expands the rays of the Brahma Jyoti, which is limitless and all-pervasive. Part of this all-pervasive Brahma Jyoti, which is compared with the sun rays, is covered by the darkness of Mahatattva. And this insignificant part is known as the material world. In this material world, there are innumerable universes like the one we can experience, and in each of them there are hundreds of thousands of planets like the one we are inhabiting. The mundaners are more or less captivated by the unlimited expansions of the rays of the Lord, but the devotees are concerned more with his personal form, from which everything is emanating. Janmadyasya yataha. As the sun rays are concentrated in the sun disk, so the Brahma Jyoti is concentrated in Goloka Vrindavan, the topmost spiritual planet in the spiritual sky. The immeasurable spiritual sky is full of spiritual planets named Vaikunthas, far beyond the material sky. The mundaners have no sufficient information of even the mundane sky, so what can they think of the spiritual sky? Therefore, the mundaners are always far, far away from him. Even if they are able to manufacture some machine in the future whose speed may be accelerated to the velocity of the air or mind, the mundaners will still be unable to imagine reaching the planets in the spiritual sky. So the Lord and his residential abode will always remain a mysterious problem, but for the devotees, the Lord will always be available as an associate. In the spiritual sky, his opulence is immeasurable. The Lord resides in all the spiritual planets or innumerable Vaikuntha planets by expanding his plenary portions along with his liberated devotee associates. But the impersonalists who want to merge in the existence of the Lord are allowed to merge as one of the spiritual sparks of Brahmajyoti. They have no qualifications for becoming one of the associates of the Lord either in the Vaikuntha planets or in the supreme planet Goloka Vrindavan, described in the Bhagavad Gita as the Madhyama. And here in this verse as the Svadhyama of the Lord. This Madhyama or Svadhyama is described in the Bhagavad Gita as follows. Natad basayate suryo nasa sangona pavkaha yadgatva nani vartante daddama paramam mama 15.6. The Lord's Svadhyama does not require any sunlight or moonlight or electricity for illumination. The Dhamma place is supreme, and whoever goes there never comes back to this material world. The Vaikuntha planets and the Goloka Vrindavan planet are all self-illuminating, and the rays are scattered by those Svadhyama of the Lord, which constitute the existence of the Brahma Jyoti. It is further confirmed in the Vedas like the Mundaka, Katha, and Sveta Svatara Upanishad. Na tatra suryo bhati na chandra tarakam nema vidyuto bhanti kuto ayam agni tam eva bhantam anubhati sarvam tasya bhasa sarvam idam vibhati. In the Svadhyama of the Lord there is no need of sun, moon, or stars for illumination. Nor is there need of electricity, for what to speak of ignited lamps. On the other hand, it is because of those planets being self-illuminating that all effulgence has become possible, and whatever there is that is dazzling is due to the reflection of that Svadhyama. One who is dazzled by the effulgence of the impersonal and Brahma Jyoti cannot know the personal transcendence. Therefore, in the Ishopanishad, it is prayed that the Lord shift his dazzling effulgence so that the devotee can see the real reality. It is spoken thus. Hiranyamayena patrena satyasyapi tam mukham Tattvam pushan apavrinu satya dharma yadrishtaye. O Lord, you are the maintainer of everything, both material and spiritual, and everything flourishes by your mercy. Your devotional service or bhakti yoga is the actual principle of religion, satya dharma, and I am engaged in that service. So kindly protect me by showing your real face. Please therefore remove the veil of your Brahma Jyoti rays so that I can see your form of eternal bliss and knowledge. Hare Krishna, Praveen Prabhupada, Prem Jai Shri Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to
Vishnu,
Sri
you must
Prabhupada.
read verse.
Yes, Prabhu. I'll read. Text 15.
Okay.
Is it 15? I think I have to read 15. Yat kirtanam yat smaranam yat ikshanam yat vandanam yacharvanam yat arhanam lokasya sadyo vidhunoti kalmasham tasmai subhadra shravase namo namaha. Synonyms: yat, whose; kirtanam, glorification; yat, whose; smaranam, remembrances; yat, whose; ikshanam, audience; yat, whose; vandanam, prayers; yat, whose; shravanam, hearing about; yat, whose; arhanam, worshipping; lokasya, of all people; sadhyaha, forthwith; vidhunoti, specifically cleanses; kalmasham, effects of sins; tasmai, unto him; subhadra, all auspicious; shravase, one who is heard; namaha, by due obeisances; namaha, again and again. Translation purport by His Divine Grace Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada ki jai. Translation: Let me offer my respectful obeisances unto the all auspicious Lord Sri Krishna, about whom glorification, remembrances, audience, prayers, hearing, and worship can at once cleanse the effects of all sins of the performer. Purport: the sublime form of religious performance to free oneself from all reactions of sins is suggested herein by the great authority Sri Sukadeva Goswami. Kirtanam, or glorifying the Lord, can be performed by very many ways, such as remembering, visiting temples to see the deity, offering prayers in front of the Lord, and hearing recitations of glorification of the Lord as they are mentioned in the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam or in the Bhagavad Gita. Kirtana can be performed both by singing the glories of the Lord in accompaniment with melodious music and recitation of scriptures like Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam or the Bhagavad Gita. The devotees may not be disappointed in the absence of the Lord physically, though they may think of not being associated with Him. The devotional process of chanting, hearing, remembering, etc., either all or some of them or even one of them, can give us the desired result of being associated with the Lord by discharging the transcendental loving service of the Lord in the above manner. Even the very sound of the holy name of Lord Krishna Rama can at once surcharge the atmosphere spiritually, and we must know definitely that the Lord is present wherever such pure devotional, for such pure transcendental service is performed, and thus the performer of offenseless kirtana has positive association with the Lord. Similarly, remembrance and prayers also can give us the desired result if they are properly done under expert guidance. One should not concord forms of devotional service. One may worship the form of the Lord in a temple, or one may impersonally offer the Lord devotional prayers in a mosque or a church. One is sure to get free from the reactions of sins, provided one is very careful about not committing sins willfully in expectation of getting free from the reactions of sins by worshipping in the temple or by offering prayers in the church. Now, let me read it once again. One is sure to get free from the reactions of sins, provided one is very careful about not committing sins willfully in expectation of getting free from the reactions of sins by worshipping in the temple or by offering prayers in the church. This mentality of committing sins willfully on the strength of devotional service is called namno balat papa buddhi, the great offense in the discharge of devotional service. Hearing is therefore essential in order to keep oneself strictly on God against such pitfalls of sins. And in order to give special stress to the hearing process, the Goswamis invokes all auspicious fortune in this matter. Not committing sins willfully in expectation of getting freedom. Okay. Text 16. Vichakshana चरणोपसादनात् सङ्गं व्युतस्योभयतोन्व्रतात् आत्मनः विन्दन्ति हि ब्रह्म गतिं गतक्लमास् तस्मै सुभद्रा श्रवसे नमो नमः. Synonyms. Vichakshanaha, Vichakshanaha, highly intellectual, yet whose. One second, let me complete the synonyms first. Okay. Vichakshanaha, highly intellectual, yet whose charana upasadanat, simply dedicating oneself onto the lotus feet, sangam, attachment, yudasya, giving up completely, ubhayataha, for present and future existence, antar atmanaha, of the heart and soul, vindanti, moves progressively, he, certainly, brahmagatim, towards spiritual existence, gata klamaha, without difficulty, tasmai, unto him, subhadra, all auspicious, shravase, unto one who is heard, namaha, by my Jew obeisances, namaha, again and again. Translation: let me offer my respectful obeisances again and again unto the all auspicious Lord Sri Krishna. The highly intellectual, simply by surrendering unto his lotus feet, are relieved of all attachments to present and future existences, and without difficulty progress towards spiritual existence. Purport: Lord Sri Krishna has repeatedly instructed Arjuna, or for that matter, everyone concerned with becoming his unalloyed devotee. In the last phase of his instruction in the Bhagavad Gita 1864 to 66, he instructed most confidentially as follows: Sarva guhyatamam bhuyah shrunu me paramam vachaha इष्टोऽसि मे दृढम् इति ततो वक्ष्यामि ते हितं मन्मना भव मद्भक्तो मद्याजि मां नमस्कुरु मामेवैष्यसि सत्यं ते प्रतिजाने प्रियोऽसि मे सर्वधर्मान् परित्यज्य मामेकं शरणं व्रज अहं त्वा सर्वपापेभ्यो मोक्षयिष्यामि मा शुचः. My dear Arjuna, you are very dear to me, and therefore only for your, please come on, roll down. For your good, I will disclose the most secret part of my instructions. It is simply this: become a pure devotee of mine and give yourself unto me only, and I promise you full spiritual existence by which you may gain the eternal light of transcendental loving service unto me. Just give up all other ways of religiosity and exclusively surrender unto me, and believe that I will protect you from your sinful acts, and I shall deliver you. Do not worry anymore. Persons who are intelligent take serious notice of this last instruction of the Lord. Knowledge of the self is the first step in spiritual realization, which is called confidential knowledge, and a step further is God realization, which is called more confidential knowledge. The culmination of the knowledge of Bhagavad Gita is God realization, and when one attains, please scroll down. When one attains this stage of God realization, he naturally, voluntarily becomes a devotee of the Lord to render him loving transcendental service. This devotional service of the Lord is always based on love of God and is distinguished from the nature of routine service as prescribed in Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, or Dhyana Yoga. In the Bhagavad Gita, there are different instructions for such men of different categories, and there are various descriptions for Varnashrama Dharma, Sannyasa Dharma, Yati Dharma, the renounced order of life, controlling the senses, meditation, perfection of mystic powers, etc. But one who falls fully surrenders unto the Lord to render service unto Him out of spontaneous love for Him, factually assimilates the essence of all knowledge described in the Vedas. One who adopts this method very skillfully attains perfection of life at once. And this perfection of human life is called Brahmagati, or the progressive march in spiritual existence. As enunciated by Srila Jiva Goswami on the basis of Vedic assurances, Brahma Gati means to attain a spiritual form as good as that of the Lord, and in that form, the liberated living being eternally lives on one of the spiritual planets situated in the spiritual sky. Attainment of this perfection of life is easily available to a pure devotee of the Lord without undergoing any difficult method of perfection. Such a devotional life is full of kirtana, smarana, ikshana, etc., as mentioned in the previous verse. One must therefore adopt this simple way of devotional life in order to attain the highest perfection available in any category of the human form of life in any part of the world. Lord Brahma, when he met Lord Krishna as a playful child at Vrindavana, offered his prayer in which he said, Shreyasrutim Bhaktim Vidasyate Vibhoh Klishyanti ye Kevala बोध लब्धये तेषाम् असौ क्लेशाल एव शिष्यते नान्यद् यथा स्थूल तुषावघातीनाम्. Bhagavatam 10:14-4. Bhakti Yoga is the highest quality of perfection to be achieved by the intelligent person in lieu of performing a large quantity of spiritual activities. The example cited here is very appropriate. A handful of real paddy is more valuable than heaps of paddy skins without any substance within. Similarly, one should not be attracted by the jugglery of Karmakanda or Jnanakanda or even the gymnastic performances of yoga, but skillfully should take to the simple performances of Kirtana, Smarana, etc., under a bona fide spiritual master and without any difficulty attain the highest perfection. Text 17. Tapasvino Danapara Yashasvino मनस्विनो मंत्रविदः सुमंगलाः क्षेमं न विन्दन्ति विना यदर्पणं तस्मै सुभद्रश्रवसे नमो नमः. Synonyms. Tapasvinaha, the great learned sages. Danaparaha, the great performer of charity. Yashasvinaha, the great worker of distinction. Manasvinaha, the great philosophers or mystics. Mantra Vidaha, the great chanter of the Vedic hymns. Sumangalaha, strict followers of Vedic principles. Kshemam, fruitful result. Na, never. Vindanti, attain. Vina, without. Yad, arpanam, dedication. Tasmai, unto him. Subhadra, auspicious. Sravase, hearing about him, Namaha, my obeisances, Namaha, again and again. Translation: Let me offer my respectful obeisances unto the all auspicious Lord Sri Krishna again and again, because the great learned sages, the great performers of charities, the great workers of distinction, the great philosophers and mystics, the great chanters of the Vedic hymns, and the great followers of Vedic principles cannot achieve any fruitful result without dedication of such great qualities to the service of the Lord. Purport: Advancement of learning, charitable disposition of mind, taking part in political, social, or religious leadership of human society, philosophical speculations, or the practice of the yoga system, becoming expert in the Vedic rituals, and all similar high qualities in man serve one in the attainment of perfection only when they are employed in the service of the Lord. Without such dovetailing, all such qualities become sources of trouble for people in general. Everything can either be utilized for one's own sense gratification or in the service of one other than or in the service of one other than oneself. There are two kinds of self-interest also, namely personal selfishness and extended selfishness. But there is no qualitative difference between personal and extended selfishness. Theft for personal interest or for the family interest is of the same quality, namely criminal. A thief pleading not guilty because of committing theft, not for personal interest, but for the interest of society or country, has never been excused by the established law of any country. People in general have no knowledge that the self interest of a living being attains perfection only when such an interest coincides with the interest of the Lord. For example, what is the interest of maintaining body and soul together? One earns money for maintenance of the body, personal or social, but unless there is God consciousness, unless the body is being properly maintained to realize one's relation with God, all good efforts to maintain body and soul together are similar to the attempts of the animals to maintain the body and soul together. The purpose of maintaining the human body is different from that of the animals. Similarly, advancement of learning, economic development, philosophical research, study in the Vedic literature, or even the execution of pious activities like charity, opening of hospitals, the distribution of food, grains, etc., should be done in relation with the Lord. The aim of all such acts and endeavors must be for the pleasure of the Lord and not for the satisfaction of any other identity, individual, collective, samsiddhire hari toshanam. In the Bhagavad Gita also the same principle is confirmed 9:27, and it is said there that whatever we may give in charity and whatever we may observe in austerity must be given over to the Lord uh, or be done on his okay, must be given over to the Lord or be done on his account only. The expert leaders of a godless human civilization cannot bring about a fruitful result in all their different attempts at educational advancement or economic development unless they are God conscious. And to become God conscious, one has to hear about the all auspicious Lord as he is described in literatures like the Bhagavad Gita and the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam.
Okay,
Text
Haribo, last verse.
last verse, okay. Text 18. Hmm.
Longer purport.
No problem.
Oh, this is this one.
Text 18. Okay. Kirata Hunandhara Pulinda Pulakasa Abhira Sumbha Abhira Shumbha Yamanaha Shasa दयः येन्ये च पापा यत् अपाश्रयाश्रयाः शुध्यन्ति तस्मै प्रभविष्णवे नमः. Synonyms: Kirata, a province of old Bharata, Huna, part of Germany and Russia, Andhra, a province of southern India, Pulinda, the Greeks, Pulkashah, another province, Abhira, part of old Sindh, Shumbah, another province, Yavanaha, the Turks, Kasa, Adhayaha, the Mongolian province. Even those Anye others cha also Papah addicted to sinful acts at whose Ashrayah having taken shelter of these devotees of the Lord Shuddhyanti all once purified Tasmai unto him Prabha Vishnave unto the powerful Vishnu Namaha my respectful obeisances. Translation Kirata, Huna, Andhra, Pulinda, Pulkasha, Abhira, Shumbha, Yavana, and the Kasha races, and even others who are addicted to sinful acts can be purified by taking shelter of the devotees of the Lord due to his being the supreme power. I beg to offer my respectful obeisances unto him. Purport. Kirata, a province of old Bharatavarsha mentioned in the Bhishma Parma of Mahabharata. Generally, the Kiratas are known as the aboriginal tribes of India, and in modern days, the Santal Parganas in Bihar and Chota Nagpur might comprise the old province named Kirata. Pune. The area of East Germany and part of Russia is known as the province of the Punas. Accordingly, sometimes a kind of hill tribe is known as the Hunas. Andhra, a province in southern India mentioned in the Bhishma Parva Mahabharata. It is still extant under the same name, Pulinda. It is mentioned in the Mahabharata Adi Parva 174:38. The inhabitants of the province of the name Pulinda. This country was conquered by Bhimasena and Sahadeva. The Greeks are known as Pulindas, and it is mentioned in the Vanaparva of Mahabharata that the non-Vedic race of this part of the world would rule over the world. This Pulinda province was also one of the provinces of Bharata, and the inhabitants were classified amongst the Kshatriya kings. But later on, due to their giving up the Brahminical culture, they were mentioned as Mlechas, just as those who are not followers of the Islamic culture are called Kafirs. And those who are not followers of the Christian culture are called heathens. Okay. Abhira. The name also refers in the this name also refers appears in the Mahabharata, both in the Sabha Parva and the Bhishma Parva. It is mentioned that this province was situated on the river Saraswati in Sindh. The modern Sindh province, formerly extended on the other side of the Arabian Sea, and all the inhabitants of that province were known as the Abhiras. They were under the domination of Maharaj Yudhishthira, and according to the statements of Markandeya, the Mlechas of this part of the world would also rule over Bharata. Later on, this proved to be true, as it was proved in the case of the Pulindas. On behalf of the Pulindas, Alexander the Great conquered India, and on behalf of the Abhiras, Muhammad Ghori conquered India. One second, bro. Let me complete the other part as well. So Alexander belonged to the Pulindas province and Muhammad Ghori belonged to the Abhiras province. These Abhiras were also formerly Kshatriyas within the Brahminical culture, but they gave up this connection. But that means Muhammad Ghori also belonged to the Brahminical culture.
Who is
So
Muhammad Ali?
that one, okay. See, Muhammad Ghori, the Muhammad Ghori who conquered India, okay, belonged to the Abhiras. Okay, similarly, Alexander belonged to the section called Pulindas. Okay, but they were originally uh, following the Brahminical culture as described in this purport.
Yes, bro.
So, in other words, both Alexander and Muhammad Ghori were of the Brahminical culture initially.
Yes, bro.
Okay, these Abhiras, but the Kshatriyas who were afraid of Parsurama and had hidden themselves in the Caucasian hilly regions later on became known as the Abhiras, and the place they inhabited was known as Abhira Desha. Sumba or the Kankas. The inhabitants of the Kanka province of old Bharata mentioned in the Mahabharata. Yavanas. Yavana was the name of one of the sons of Maharaj Yayati, who was given the part of the world known as Turkey to rule over. Therefore, the Turks are Yavanas due to being descendants of Maharaj Yavana.
Oh, I'm Yavana. I'm half Yavana, Prabhu.
How?
My father is Turkish.
Okay. Okay. The Yavanas were therefore Kshatriyas, and later on, by giving up the Brahminical culture, see, look at this point. Okay. Similarly, Adiras and uh, what's the other one? Pulinda. Pulinda also gave up this Brahminical culture. Okay. The Yavanas were therefore Kshatriyas, and later on, by giving up the Brahminical culture, they became Lecha Yavanas. Descriptions of the Yavanas are in the Mahabharata Adi Parva 85:34. Another prince of Tuvasu was also known as Yavana, and his country was conquered by Sahadeva, one of the Pandavas. The western Yavana joined with Duryodhana in the battle of Kurukshetra under the pressure of Karna. It is also foretold that these Yavanas also would conquer India, and it proved to be true. Kashadaya. The inhabitants of the Kashadesha are mentioned in the Mahabharata Drona Parva. Those who have a stunned growth of hair on the upper lip arc, generally called Kashas. As such, the Kashadayas are the Mongolians and the Chinese and others who are so designated. The above mentioned historical names are different nations of the world. Even those who are constantly engaged in sinful acts are all corrigible to the standard of perfect human beings if they take shelter of the devotees of the Lord. Jesus Christ and the Hazrat Muhammad, two powerful devotees of the Lord, have done tremendous service on behalf of the Lord on the surface of the globe. And from the version of Srila Sukadeva Goswami, it appears that instead of running a godless civilization in the present context of the world's situation, if the leadership of world affairs is entrusted to the devotees of the Lord, for which a worldwide organization under the name and style of the International Society for Krishna consciousness has already been started, then by the grace of the Almighty Lord, there can be a thorough change of heart in human beings all over the world because the devotees of the Lord are able authorities to effect such a change by purifying the dust-born minds of the people in general. The politicians of the world may remain in their respective positions because the pure devotees of the Lord are not interested in political leadership or diplomatic implications. The devotees are interested only in seeing the people, only in seeing that the people in general are not misguided by political propaganda and in seeing that the valuable life of a human being is not spoiled in following a type of civilization which is ultimately doomed. If the politicians would therefore be guided by the good counsel of the devotees, then certainly there would be a great change in the world situation by the purifying propaganda of the devotees as shown by Lord Chaitanya. As Sukadeva Goswami began his prayers by discussing the word Yat Kirtanam, so also Lord Chaitanya recommended that simply by glorifying the Lord's name, holy name, a tremendous change of heart can take place by which the complete misunderstanding between the human nations created by politicians can at once be extinguished. And after the extinction of the fire of misunderstanding, other profits will follow. The destination is to go back home, back to Godhead, as we have several times discussed in these pages. According to the cult of devotion, generally known as the Vaishnava cult, there is no bar for anyone to advance in the matter of God realization. A Vaishnava is powerful enough to turn into a Vaishnava, even the Kirata, etc., as I have mentioned. In the Bhagavad Gita also it is said by the Lord 932 that there is no bar to becoming a devotee of the Lord, even for those who are low born or women, Sudras or Vaishyas. And by becoming a devotee, everyone is eligible to return home back to Godhead. The only qualification is that one takes shelter of a pure devotee of the Lord who has thorough knowledge in the transcendental science of Krishna, the Bhagavad Gita, and the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. Anyone from any part of the world who becomes well conversant in the science of Krishna becomes a pure devotee and a pure spiritual master for the general mass of people and may reclaim them by purification of heart. A person, though he be even the most sinful man, can at once be purified by systematic contact with a pure Vaishnava. A Vaishnava, therefore, can accept a bona fide disciple from any part of the world without any consideration of caste and creed and promote him by regulative principles to the status of a pure Vaishnava who is transcendental to Brahminical culture. The system of caste or Varnashrama Dharma is no longer regular even amongst the so-called followers of the system, nor is it now possible to re-establish the institutional function in the present context of social, political, and economic revolution. Without any reference to the particular custom of a country, one can be accepted to the Vaishnava cult spiritually, and there is no hindrance in the transcendental process. So, by the order of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the cult of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam or the Bhagavad Gita can be preached all over the world, reclaiming all persons willing to accept the transcendental cult. Such cultural propaganda by the devotees will certainly be accepted by all persons who are reasonable and inquisitive, without any particular bias for the. Can you please scroll up a bit? Ah, uh, without any particular bias for the custom of the country. The Vaishnavas never accepts another Vaishnava on the basis of birthright, just as he never thinks of the deity of the Lord in a temple as idol worship. And to remove all doubts in this connection, Srila Sukadeva Goswami has invoked the blessings of the Lord, who is all powerful. Prabhavishnave Namaha. As the all-powerful Lord accepts the humble service of his devotee in devotional activities of the Archana, his form as the worshipable deity in the temple, similarly, the body of a pure Vaishnava changes transcendentally at once by giving himself up to the service of the Lord and training by a qualified Vaishnava. The injunction of Vaishnava regulation in this connection is as follows. Acche Vishnu Siladhir Gurushu Nara Matir Vaishnave Jati Buddhi Sri Vishnur Namni Shabda Samanya Buddhi etc. One should not consider the deity of the Lord as worshipped in the temple to be an ideal, nor should one consider the authorized spiritual master as an ordinary man, nor should one consider a pure Vaishnava belong to a particular caste, etc. The conclusion is that the Lord, being all powerful, can under any and every circumstance accept anyone from any part of the world, either personally or through his bona fide manifestation as the spiritual master. Lord Chaitanya accepted many devotees from communities other than the Vaishnav Samitis. Sorry, Varnashramitis. And he himself declared to teach us that he does not belong to any caste or social order of life, but that he is the eternal servant of the Lord who manifests the damsels of Vrindavana, Lord Krishna. That is the way of self-realization. Okay,
Haribo.
Varnashramites, okay. It's Varnashramites, okay, fine.
Thank you so much, Prabhu.
Thank you. Let us go to the Amodrashtam now. नमामीश्वरं सच्चिदानन्दरूपं लसत्कुण्डलं गोकुले भ्राजमानं यशोदाभियोलुकलाब्धवमानं परामृष्टमत्यन्ततो धृत्यगोप्य
रुदन्तं हरिनेत्रयुग्मं मृजन्तं कराम्भोजयुग्मेन सातङ्कनेत्रं मोहसानकं वातरेखाग्रकण्ठं स्थग्रैव दामोदरं भक्तिबद्धम्
इति दृक्स्वलीलाभिरानन्दकुन्दे स्वघोषं निमज्जन्तमख्यापयन्तं तदीयेषिताग्नेषु भक्तर्जिता त्वं पुनः प्रेमतस्तं सता वृत्तिवन्दे
मोदं देव मोक्षं न मोक्षावधिम न जानं मृणेऽहं मरे साधुपिह इदं देवपुरनाथ गोपालबालं सदा मे मनस्य विरास्तां मन्ये
दन्ते मुखम्बोजमत्यन्तनीलैर्वृतं कुण्डले स्निग्धरक्तैश्च गोप्य मुहुश्चुम्बितं बिम्बरक्तादरं मे मनसि आविष्टं नलं लक्षलाभे
नमो देवदामोदरानन्त विष्णु प्रसीद प्रभो दुःखजलाब्धिमग्नं कृपादृष्टिवृष्ट्या दीनं बतानुगृहाणे क्षमामग्नं यदाक्षिदृश्य
कुबेरात्मजो बद्धमूर्त्यैव यद्वत् त्वया मोचितो भक्तिभाजौ कृतौ च तथा प्रेम भक्तिं स्वकाम्ये प्रयच्छ न मोक्षे ग्रहो मेऽस्ति दामोदरेह
नमस्तेऽस्तु धाम्ने स्फुरद्दीप्तिधाम्ने त्वदीयोदरायादविश्वस्य धाम्ने नमो राधिकायै त्वदीयप्रियायै नमोऽनन्तलीलाय देवाय तुभ्यम्
Haribo. To the Supreme Lord, whose form is the embodiment of eternal existence, knowledge, and bliss, whose shark-shaped earrings are swinging to and fro, who is beautifully shining in the divine realm of Gokula, who, due to offense of breaking the pot of yogurt that his mother was turning into butter and then stealing the butter that was kept hanging from a swing, is quickly running from the wooden grinding mortar in fear of Mother Yashoda. But who has been called from behind by her who ran after him with greater speed? To that Supreme Lord Sri Damodara I offer my humble obeisances.
Seeing the whipping stick in his mother's hand, he is crying and rubbing his eyes again and again with his two lotus hands. His eyes are filled with fear, and the necklace of pearls around his neck, which is marked with three lines like a conch shell, is shaking because of his quick breathing due to crying. To this Supreme Lord Sri Damodara, whose belly is bound not with ropes but with his mother's pure love, I offer my humble obeisances.
By such childhood pastimes as this, he is drowning the inhabitants of Gokula in pools of ecstasy, and is revealing to those devotees who are absorbed in knowledge of his supreme majesty and opulence that he is only conquered by devotees whose pure love is imbued with intimacy and is free from all conception of awe and reverence. With great love, I again offer my obeisance to Lord Damodara hundreds and hundreds of times.
O Lord, although you are able to give all kinds of benedictions, I do not pray to you for the boon of impersonal liberation, nor the highest liberation of eternal life in Vaikuntha, nor any other boon which may be obtained by executing the nine processes of bhakti. O Lord, I simply wish that this form of yours as Bala Gopala in Vrindavana may ever be manifest in my heart. For what is the use to me of any other boon besides this?
O Lord, your lotus face, which is encircled by locks of soft black hair tinged with red, is kissed again and again by Mother Yashoda, and your lips are reddish like the bimba fruit. May this beautiful vision of your lotus face be ever manifest in my heart. Thousands and thousands of other benedictions are no use to me.
O Supreme Godhead, I offer my obeisances unto you, O Damodara, O Ananta, O Vishnu, O Master, O my Lord, be pleased upon me, by showering your glance of mercy upon me, deliver this poor ignorant fool, who is immersed in an ocean of worldly sorrows, and become visible to my eyes.
O
O Lord,
Lord Damodara, just as the two sons of Kuvera, Manikriva and Nalakuvera, were delivered from the curse of Narada and made into great devotees by you in your form as a baby tied with rope to a wooden grinding mortar, in the same way, please give to me your own prema bhakti. I only long for this and have no desire for any kind of liberation.
O Lord Damodar, I first of all offer my obeisances to the brilliantly effulgent robe which binds your belly. I then offer my obeisances to your belly, which is the abode of the entire universe. I humbly bow down to your most beloved Srimati Radharani, and offer all the obeisances to you, the Supreme Lord, who displays unlimited pastimes. Sri Damodarastakam ki jai. चेतो दर्पणमार्जनं भवमहादावाग्निर्वापनं श्रेयः कैरवचन्द्रिकावितरणं विद्यावधूजीवनम् आनन्दं बुद्धिवर्धनं प्रतिपदं पूर्णामृतस्वादनं सर्वात्मस्नपनं परं विजयते श्रीकृष्णसङ्कीर्तनम्. नाम्नामकारि बहुधा निज सर्वशक्तिस्तत्रार्पितानि अमिता स्मरणेन कालाय तादृशी तव कृपा भगवन्ममापि दुर्दैवमिदर्शमिहा जानिनानुरागः.
त्रिनादपि सुनीचेन तरोरपि सहिष्णुना अमानिना मानदेन कीर्तनीय सदा हरिः.
नदनं न जनं न सुन्दरीं कवितां वा जगदीशकामये मम जन्मनि जन्मनीश्वरे भगवद्भक्तिरहेतुकी त्वयि.
हैनन्दतनुजा किङ्करं पतितं मां विषमे भवाम्बुधौ कृपया तव पादपङ्कजस्थितधूलि सदृशं विचिन्तय.
नयनं कलदश्रुधारया वदनं गद्गदहृदया गिरा पुलकैर्निशितं वपुः कदा तव नाम ग्रहणे भविष्यति.
युगायुधं निमेषेण चक्षुषा प्रविश्य इदं शून्यायुधं जगत्सर्वं गोविन्दविरहेण मे.
श्लिष्य वा पादरतां पिनष्टु मामदर्शनन्मर्महतां करोतु वा यथा तथा वा विरता तुलम्बतो मत्प्राणनाथस्तु स एव नापरः. Glory to the Sri Krishna Sankirtan, which cleanses the heart of all the dust accumulated for years and extinguishes the fire of conditional life of repeated birth and death. The Sankirtan movement is the prime benediction for humanity at large because it spreads the rays of the benediction moon. It is the life of all transcendental knowledge. It increases the ocean of transcendental bliss and it enables us to fully taste the nectar for which we are always anxious.
Oh my Lord, your holy name alone can render all benediction to living beings, and thus you have hundreds and millions of names like Krishna and Govinda. In these transcendental names, you have invested all your transcendental energies. There are not even hard and fast rules for chanting these names. Oh my Lord, out of kindness, you enable us to easily approach you by chanting your holy name, but I am so unfortunate that I have no attraction for them.
One should chant the holy name of the Lord in a humble state of mind, thinking oneself lower than the store in the street. One should be more tolerant than a tree, devoid of all sense of false prestige, and ready to offer all respect to others. In such a state of mind, one can chant the holy name of the Lord constantly.
Almighty Lord, I have no desire to accumulate wealth, nor do I desire beautiful woman, nor do I want any number of followers. Only one who causes devotional service birth after birth.
Oh, Sanna Maharadhananda Krishna, I am your eternal savior, yet somehow or other I have fallen into the ocean of birth and death. Please pick me up from this ocean of death and place me as one of the atoms of your lotus feet.
O my Lord, when will my eyes be decorated with tears of love, flowing constantly when I chant your holy name? When will my voice choke up, and when will the hairs of my body stand on end at the recitation of your name?
O Govinda, feeling our separation, I'm considering a moment to be like 12 years or more. Tears are flowing from eyes like torrents of rain, and I'm feeling all vacant in the world in your absence.
I know no one but Krishna as my Lord, and he shall remain so, even if he handles me roughly in his embrace or makes me broken-hearted by not being present before me. He is completely free to do anything and everything, for he is always my worshipful Lord unconditionally.
Haribol, Shri Siksastakam ki jai, Chaitra Maha ki jai. Baujan Makare Adi Shravana Kirtan Tabutana Paya Krishna Pade Premadan. If one is infested in the 10 offenses in the chanting of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, despite his endeavor to chant the holy name for many births, he will not get the love of God. That is the ultimate goal of this chanting. The 10 offenses against the holy name are as follows. The first offense is to blaspheme the devotees who have dedicated their lives for propagating the holy name of the Lord.
Second offense is to consider the names of the demigods like Lord Shiva or Lord Brahma to be equal to or independent of the name of Lord Vishnu.
Third offense to disobey the orders of the spiritual master.
Fourth offense to blaspheme the Vedic Holy Church, or in Persians to the Vedic version.
Fifth offense is to consider the glories of chanting Hare Krishna to be imagination.
Sixth offense to give some interpretation on the holy name of the Lord.
Seventh offense to commit sinful activities on the strength of the holy name of the Lord.
Eighth offense is to consider the chanting of Hare Krishna one of the auspicious ritualistic activities offered in the Vedas as fruitive activities, Karma Kanda.
Ninth offense to instruct a faithful person and about the glories of the holy name.
10th offense to not have complete faith in the chanting of the holy names and to maintain material attachments even after understanding so many instructions on this matter. This is also an offense to be inattentive while chanting. Every devotee who claims to be a Vaishnava must guard against these offenses in order to quickly achieve the desired success. Krishna Prema. Let us offer humble obeisances unto all the Vaishnava devotees of the Lord. They can fulfill the desires of everyone, just like desire trees, and they are full of compassion for the fallen conditioned souls.
Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripasindhubhyo cha pittanaam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha.